What if the most beautiful dreams are the ones that never quite were, the golden ages that only flicker in the fading light of memory, and the most exquisite truths are the ones we refuse to acknowledge? What if the very essence of artistry lies not in the creation of tangible masterpieces, but in the relentless, often desperate pursuit of an elusive, perhaps non-existent, ideal? Tonight we journey into one of H.P. Lovecraft's most poignant and melancholic tales, a departure from the crushing cosmic dread and cyclopean horrors he is best known for, yet a story that probes the depths of human longing and the tragic beauty of self-delusion with an intensity that is, in its own way, just as unsettling as any encounter with an elder god. We speak, of course, of The Quest of Iranon, a narrative that whispers of lost beauty, the artist's eternal struggle, and the bittersweet embrace of a comforting lie. Prepare yourselves, not for tentacles and madness, but for the profound sorrow of a dream that crumbles, and the enduring echo of a song that never found its true home. Iranon, a figure seemingly touched by perpetual youth, first appears to us as a wandering minstrel, his face radiant, his voice a silvery cascade of melody, telling tales of a wondrous golden city called Aira, a place of marble and chalcedony, of cypress groves and fountains, where perpetual youth and joy reigned supreme. He is a vision, a contradiction to the harsh realities of the world he inhabits, his garments fashioned of purple silk, adorned with a golden lyre, his long golden hair framing eyes that sparkled with an ethereal, unearthly light. He sings of Aira, the city of his birthright, the fabled land from which he claims to have been exiled, a glorious kingdom waiting for his return. The people he encounters, weary from their toil, their lives etched with the grim lines of mundane existence, are captivated by his presence, drawn in by the sheer magnetic force of his unwavering belief. They listen to his songs, and for a fleeting moment they too are transported to the mythical streets of Aira, their spirits lifted by the promise of a beauty that transcends their squalid surroundings. Iranon, in his youth and unyielding optimism, carries a torch of idealism, lighting up the dreary corners of the world with the phosphorescence of his imagination. He is a pure artist, driven not by fame or fortune, but by the sheer, unadulterated passion for his dream and the desire to share its vibrant hues with a world largely painted in shades of grey. His music, more than mere sound, is a window to an imagined reality, a testament to the power of artistic vision to transcend the immediate and mundane, to offer glimpses of something higher, more beautiful, more true than what is readily apparent. This initial portrayal of Iranon sets the stage for a journey that is as much internal as it is geographical, a quest not merely for a physical city, but for the validation of a cherished ideal, for the proof that beauty and dreams can indeed manifest in the tangible world. His first significant stop is the village of Teloth, a place Lovecraft describes as dull and grey, inhabited by plodding folk, whose lives revolve around the ceaseless grinding labour of their fields. Here, Iranon sings his songs, and the villagers, momentarily charmed, offer him a place among them. They desire to harness his unique talent, to integrate him into their practical world. They offer him clothes, a home, and the simple, if uninspired, role of a shepherd, asking only that he abandon his fantastical tales of Aira and sing songs of their predictable harvest, their predictable love stories, their predictable lives. They seek to domesticate his wild spirit, to prune the extravagant branches of his imagination, to make him useful, manageable, and comprehensible within the narrow confines of their utilitarian existence. But Iranon, the eternal dreamer, recoils from this pragmatic offer. He understands, with an intuitive artistic sensibility, that to compromise his vision, to dilute the purity of his quest for the sake of material comfort or societal acceptance, would be to betray the very essence of himself, to extinguish the inner flame that fuels his journey. His dream of Aira is not a frivolous fancy. It is his core identity, the animating principle of his existence. To abandon it would be to abandon himself, to become one of the plodding folk, eyes fixed on the soil, never daring to gaze at the stars. So Iranon, despite the allure of stability, despite the exhaustion of his long travels, refuses. He reaffirms his commitment to his elusive quest, prioritizing the intangible beauty of his dream over the tangible comfort of a settled life. He cannot trade the marble and chalcedony of Aira for the drab clay and straw of Teloth. His departure from Teloth is a crucial early moment, establishing his unwavering dedication, but also subtly foreshadowing the sacrifices and hardships that such dedication will inevitably entail. It highlights the fundamental tension between the artist's idealized world and the world of practical necessity, a conflict that many creatives throughout history have faced. He departs, his voice still ringing, his spirit still unbowed, but perhaps with a faint whisper of loneliness now accompanying his steps. For the path of the uncompromising artist is often a solitary one. His journey continues, leading him through diverse landscapes and societies, each offering a different reflection of the world and Iranon's place within it. He travels to Cytharion, a land known for its vibrant celebrations and its people's appreciation for beauty and pleasure. Here, Iranon is received with enthusiasm. His songs of Aira, with their rich imagery and passionate delivery, resonate with the joyous hedonistic spirit of Cytharion. He is not asked to compromise. Rather, his art is embraced, celebrated, and he finds temporary solace in an environment that understands and values the aesthetic. For a time, he thrives, his youthful glow undimmed, his voice strong, his tales captivating. But even in this land of revelry, something is missing. The profound, almost spiritual longing for Aira, the deep-seated yearning for a true home, cannot be fully satisfied by mere earthly pleasures, however refined. The applause, the adoration, the fleeting joys of Cytharion, while welcome, are ultimately insufficient. They are not Aira. They are a distraction, a temporary balm, not the destination itself. Iranon, despite the comfort, still feels the insistent pull of his deeper quest, the whisper of his true calling. He is an exile, always searching for a home he can barely remember, a memory that might be more dream than reality. So he leaves Cytharion, driven by the ceaseless hunger for the genuine article, for the city of his dreams, knowing that no substitute, however pleasant, can ever truly satisfy his soul. This illustrates the artist's perpetual dissatisfaction, the constant striving for an ideal that transcends even the most beautiful earthly manifestations. Next, we find Iranon in a bustling port city, a hub of trade and worldly affairs. Here, the people are driven by commerce, by the accumulation of wealth, by the practicalities of making a living. They are less interested in the ethereal beauty of Aira and more concerned with the tangible value of goods and services. Iranon, ever hopeful, sings his songs, but his audience here is different. They do not reject him outright, as the folk of Teloth effectively did by asking him to change, nor do they celebrate him with the unbridled enthusiasm of Cytherian. Instead, they are pragmatic. They appreciate his talent, but primarily for its potential to entertain and to serve their own ends. They recognize his ability to draw a crowd, to add a touch of exoticism to their mundane transactions. They see him as a performer, a novelty, a means to an end. This is a subtle yet significant shift. In Teloth, they wanted him to become one of them. In Cytherian, they celebrated his existing self. In the port, they tolerate him, perhaps even enjoy him, but they also commodify him. His art becomes a commodity, his passion a marketable skill. Iranon, still young, still full of belief, accepts this in part, perhaps hoping that by gaining some form of stability, he might eventually find the means to continue his search. But this environment, too, proves hollow. The cacophony of commerce drowns out the delicate notes of his dream. The relentless pursuit of profit overshadows the pursuit of beauty. The superficiality of the port city cannot nourish his soul, nor can it provide the true path to Aira. He learns that even when art is accepted, its essence can be distorted, its purity diminished when treated merely as entertainment or a transaction. He moves on, his quest undimmed, but perhaps with a dawning awareness of the world's indifference to his profound yearning. As Iranon journeys deeper, the ravages of time begin to take their toll, subtly, gradually, almost imperceptibly at first. The narrative does not provide a rigid timeline, but we understand that years, perhaps decades, are passing. His once radiant youth begins to wane. His golden hair, though still magnificent, shows the first faint streaks of silver. His voice, while still beautiful, loses some of its youthful vibrancy, gaining instead a melancholic resonance, a deeper, more reflective quality. His clothes, once vibrant and fresh, become worn and faded, mirroring the gradual erosion of his initial optimism. The journey itself, the endless wandering, the constant search, the persistent disappointment begins to etch itself upon his features, not with harsh lines of age, but with a profound weariness, a subtle dimming of the youthful sparkle in his eyes. He travels through desolate deserts, where the wind whispers tales of forgotten empires, and through ancient crumbling cities where the dust of ages settles upon his silk garments, now threadbare and faded. The people he meets are less impressed by his tales, more hardened by their own struggles. They offer him less, ask more. Sometimes he is forced to perform menial tasks, to sing for his supper in taverns filled with boisterous indifferent crowds, to make his art a means of survival rather than an expression of pure idealism. This marks a crucial turning point. The abstract quest for Aira now collides with the very real, very physical demands of existence. His identity as the eternal youth, the unburdened minstrel, begins to fray around the edges. The beauty of his dream remains, but the physical embodiment of its pure, untainted form begins to fade. The artistic struggle intensifies. How to maintain the integrity of one's vision when faced with the relentless pressures of survival, when the body grows weary and the spirit is tested. This is a truly Lovecraftian horror, not of monsters from beyond, but of the relentless, unforgiving march of time, eroding beauty, hope, and even identity itself. The city of Xylos stands as another significant waypoint in Iranon's fading journey. Here he finds a certain kind of acceptance, but it is an acceptance born of his diminishing physical prowess and his increasing desperation. The people of Xylos, recognizing his talent, but perhaps sensing his vulnerability, offer him a position as a court singer, a role that comes with a degree of comfort and stability. However, this comfort comes at a price. They do not wish to hear his magnificent, imaginative tales of Aira, the city of gold and marble. They prefer simple, familiar ballads, songs of local heroes, of mundane loves and losses. They want their entertainment to be predictable, digestible, non-challenging. They want to contain his art, to strip it of its grand, unsettling idealism. And Iranon, now older, wearier, his voice less soaring, his eyes less bright, is forced to comply. The artist, once driven by pure vision, is now a performer for hire, his repertoire dictated by the demands of his patrons, his true passion relegated to the quiet corners of his soul. His songs of Aira become whispers he hums to himself in the privacy of his chambers, faded echoes of a dream he no longer dares to proclaim openly. This is a profound tragedy for the artist. The dream is still there, vibrant in his mind, but the courage, the youthful defiance to sing it aloud, to insist on its truth, has been eroded by the world's indifference and his own encroaching weariness. He is like a caged bird, still capable of song, but constrained to sing only the tunes expected of him, his wild, free melodies suppressed. The silver streaks in his hair are more pronounced now, the lines around his eyes deeper, the youth that once defined him replaced by a profound, pervasive melancholia. The quest for Aira, once a joyous adventure, is slowly transforming into a silent, internal struggle against the encroaching tide of resignation. The artist's sacrifice, often romanticized, is here laid bare in its stark, heartbreaking reality. His journey eventually brings him to a desolate, wind-swept plain, where he encounters a solitary old man tending a meager flock of sheep. The imagery here is stark, a sharp contrast to the imagined opulence of Aira or the vibrant life of Cytherian. This landscape mirrors Iranon's internal state. Barren, windswept, stripped of all adornment. By this point, Iranon is almost indistinguishable from any other weary traveller. His clothes are tattered, his golden hair now largely silver, his voice hoarse from endless singing and the harshness of the road. The spark of youth has all but left his eyes, replaced by a profound sadness, a look of one who has journeyed long and far, only to find the destination recedes ever further. He looks old, truly old, his youthful glow a distant memory. He sits with the shepherd, sharing tales, and as he recounts his story, the old man listens with a quiet, knowing gaze. Iranon speaks of Aira, his voice now filled with a desperate longing, a fragile hope that seems on the verge of shattering. He describes the marble city, the cypress groves, the joyful youth, the eternal sunshine, but his descriptions now carry the weight of doubt, the faint tremor of a man clinging to a belief he fears is no longer true. He asks the shepherd if he knows of Aira, if he has ever heard of such a city, clinging to the slim hope that perhaps, just perhaps, this solitary figure, close to the earth and its forgotten secrets, might hold a key to his lifelong quest. The shepherd, looking at the weary minstrel, replies with a devastating revelation. He recognizes Iranon, but not the radiant, youthful Iranon of purple silk and golden lyre. He recognizes the boy he knew in his own youth, a lonely, poor and uninspired child named Alos, who lived in a squalid, forgotten village, a village that Iranon, in his artistic creation, had transformed into the magnificent Aira. The shepherd reveals that Alos was a child who dreamed of beauty, who spoke of a golden city to escape the bleakness of his reality, and who eventually wandered off, singing to himself, seeking that city. And now Iranon, the minstrel, is before him, aged and weary, still searching for that same imagined place. This is the story's climactic moment, the brutal collision of dream and reality. The truth, when it comes, is not a sudden, horrifying revelation of a cosmic entity, but a far more intimate, human, and arguably more profound horror. The horror of a beautiful illusion being shattered, of a lifelong quest being exposed as a journey to a place that never existed outside the confines of one's own mind. The old man, the shepherd, is the mirror of truth, reflecting back to Iranon not the idealized image he had cultivated, but the vulnerable, desperate child he once was, and the old, tired man he has become. Iranon's reaction to this truth is the heart-wrenching climax of the narrative. He does not rage, he does not deny. Instead, a profound despair settles upon him. The vivid images of Aira, once so vibrant and real in his mind, begin to fade, losing their luster, their substance. The memory of his true self, Alos, the poor, lonely boy, starts to seep into his consciousness, slowly, inexorably, replacing the carefully constructed persona of Iranon, the eternal youth. The beauty he had so passionately celebrated, the dream he had so fiercely pursued, begins to dissolve into the harsh, grey reality of his humble origins. He realizes that his quest has been for a phantom, a magnificent self-deception that provided meaning and purpose to his life, but which ultimately led him nowhere but to old age and weariness. The beautiful lie which had sustained him for so long now crumbles, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. He sits silently, his head bowed, the weight of a lifetime's illusion pressing down upon him. The golden hair is truly silver now, the youthful glow entirely extinguished. The songs die on his lips, for what is there to sing when the subject of your entire artistic output is revealed to be a mere fabrication, a coping mechanism for a desolate childhood? In a final heartbreaking act, Iranon rises, a shadow of his former self, and walks away into the desolate, mist-shrouded marsh. He does not turn back. The mist, symbolic of his fading dream and the encroaching oblivion, consumes him. He is never seen again. This ending is not one of horrific death or cosmic annihilation, but of dissolution, of a retreat into the unknown, a quiet fading away. It is an ending imbued with profound melancholy and a sense of irreversible loss. The artist, stripped of his defining dream, can no longer exist in the world. The world of reality has no place for Iranon, the eternal youth and singer of Aira, once Alos, the lonely child. He literally disappears into the metaphorical mists of non-existence, taking his beautiful, shattered dream with him. This conclusion solidifies the Quest of Iranon as a uniquely tragic Lovecraftian tale, where the horror lies not in external monsters, but in the internal devastation caused by the destruction of one's most cherished illusions. Now, let us delve into the profound themes that Lovecraft masterfully weaves into this tragic tapestry. The central theme, without a doubt, is that of lost beauty and the nature of idealism. Aira, the golden city of marble and chalcedony, is the ultimate symbol of lost beauty, or perhaps, more accurately, of a beauty that never truly existed outside the confines of a desperately yearning mind. It represents an idealized past, a golden age that Iranon seeks to reclaim. But the story subtly questions the very reality of this beauty. Is Aira a half-remembered truth? A genetic memory of a truly glorious era? Or is it a complete fabrication, born from the mind of a lonely child in a desolate village? Lovecraft leaves this ambiguity hanging, but the revelation by the shepherd leans heavily towards the latter interpretation. The tragedy, then, is not just the loss of Aira, but the understanding that the beauty Iranon dedicated his life to was, in essence, a beautiful lie, a magnificent self-deception. This explores the power of imagination, not just to create, but also to shield us from harsh realities. Is a beautiful lie better than an ugly truth? Iranon's story suggests that while it can sustain an individual and inspire others for a time, the confrontation with reality, however delayed, is ultimately devastating. The beauty itself, whether real or imagined, is a potent force, capable of driving a lifelong quest, yet its fragility in the face of truth is what makes it so tragically poignant. The lost beauty here is complex. It is the beauty of a dream, the beauty of youth, the beauty of an unblemished ideal, all of which are ultimately lost to the relentless grind of existence and the undeniable force of truth. This leads us directly to the theme of the artist's struggle. Iranon embodies the archetypal struggling artist. He is driven by an internal vision, a compelling ideal that dictates his entire life's course. His art, his songs of Aira, are not just performances. They are expressions of his deepest self, his search for meaning, his unwavering commitment to a perceived higher beauty. The various lands he visits represent different facets of the artist's journey. Teloth represents the demand for practicality, the pressure to conform, to make art serve utilitarian purposes. Cytherian symbolizes the fleeting embrace of hedonistic appreciation, where art is valued for pleasure, but not necessarily for its profound truth. The port city signifies the commodification of art, where creative expression becomes a product to be bought and sold. Xylos shows the artist constrained, forced to compromise his vision for the sake of survival and stability. Throughout these encounters, Iranon struggles to maintain the purity of his vision against the world's indifference, its demands, its attempts to reshape his art. He sacrifices material comfort, stability, and eventually even his youth and peace of mind, all for the sake of his dream. This struggle culminates in the devastating revelation that his entire life's work, his muse, his inspiration, was a fabrication. What does this say about the artist? Is the truth of the muse less important than the power of the creation itself? Does the artist need a beautiful lie to create beautiful art? Lovecraft presents a bleak answer. The artist, sustained by illusion, ultimately cannot survive without it once that illusion is shattered. The profound tragedy of Iranon is that his art was his life, and when the foundation of that art was revealed as sand, his very existence crumbled. His struggle is not just to create, but to believe in what he creates, and to have that belief validated by the world, a validation that never truly comes for Aira. The story is also a profound exploration of dream versus reality, a common Lovecraftian motif, but presented here with a unique lyrical melancholy. Iranon lives in a dream, his identity intricately woven into the fabric of Aira. For most of his life, this dream is more real to him than the physical world he traverses. It provides him with purpose, with identity, with a shield against the harshness of reality. His songs are the manifestations of this dream, sharing its beauty with others. But reality is a relentless force. The aging of his body, the weariness of his journey, the skepticism of the world all slowly chip away at the edifice of his dream. The confrontation with the shepherd brings this conflict to a head, forcing Iranon to choose, or rather to acknowledge, the truth. The story suggests that while dreams can be incredibly powerful, capable of shaping a life and inspiring beauty, they are ultimately fragile in the face of unyielding truth. The shattering of Iranon's dream is not a jump scare or a cosmic revelation, but a slow, agonizing process of disillusionment, the slow death of a cherished illusion. The horror here is the existential dread of realizing that your entire existence has been built upon a beautiful but ultimately false premise. It's the horror of realizing that the most beautiful things might reside only in the mind, fleeting and vulnerable. Youth and age are depicted with a poignant symbolism. Iranon's initial appearance as eternally youthful is crucial. His youth is intertwined with the freshness and vibrancy of his dream. As he ages, as his golden hair turns silver, as his voice loses its pristine quality, so too does his dream begin to lose its luster and certainty. The physical signs of aging mirror the internal erosion of his faith in Aira. Youth represents unbridled idealism, the capacity for unwavering belief, the energy to pursue a seemingly impossible quest. Age, in contrast, brings weariness, doubt, and ultimately a forced confrontation with reality. The loss of youth for Iranon is not just a biological process, it is a symbolic shedding of his idealism, a gradual stripping away of the protective layers that allowed him to sustain his dream. By the end, when his true age is revealed, it is as if the dream itself, having been kept alive by his youthful spirit, finally collapses under the weight of time and truth. The story laments the loss of innocence and the inevitable decline of the uncompromising artistic spirit when faced with the relentless march of time. Lovecraft's style and tone in The Quest of Iranon are notably different from many of his more famous cosmic horror tales. While his signature lyrical prose and archaic vocabulary are present, the pervasive atmosphere is one of profound melancholy, elegiac beauty, and wistful sorrow rather than outright terror. There is no tangible monster, no existential threat from beyond the stars, no creeping madness induced by forbidden knowledge. Instead, the horror is purely psychological and existential. The horror of self-delusion, the agony of disillusionment, the tragedy of a life spent chasing an illusion. The story reads like a dark fairy tale, a myth of a failed artist, imbued with a poetic sensibility that emphasizes the fragility of beauty and the pain of human longing. It showcases Lovecraft's versatility as a writer, demonstrating his ability to evoke deep emotional resonance through themes of human suffering and the ephemeral nature of dreams, proving that his mastery extended beyond the purely grotesque or terrifying. This story resonates not with fear, but with a deep, aching sadness. Finally, the story offers philosophical implications about the nature of truth and meaning. If Aira never existed, then Iranon's entire life was built upon a lie. Yet this lie gave his life purpose. It inspired beautiful songs, and it brought moments of joy and wonder to others. Does the truth of a belief matter more than the meaning it provides? Is it better to live a beautiful lie that gives life purpose, or a harsh truth that leaves one adrift? Lovecraft, in his typically bleak manner, suggests that while the beautiful lie can sustain, the truth, when it inevitably surfaces, is devastating. The human need for meaning, for beauty, for purpose, is so strong that we often create these things for ourselves, even if it means constructing elaborate fictions. But the universe, indifferent and unyielding, eventually demands its due. Iranon's story is a profound meditation on the human condition, on our desperate search for paradise, and the often painful price we pay for our dreams. It is a reminder that sometimes the most exquisite beauty is also the most fragile, existing only in the delicate architecture of our own minds, vulnerable to the crushing weight of reality. In its entirety, the Quest of Iranon stands as a haunting and beautiful testament to the power of imagination and the tragedy of its inevitable confrontation with reality. It is a story that, while lacking the visceral horror of Cthulhu or Nyarlathotep, lingers in the mind with a deeper, more melancholic resonance. A quiet dread born not of cosmic entities, but of the very human fragility of hope and the crushing weight of truth. It reminds us that sometimes the most terrifying thing is not what lurks in the shadows beyond the stars, but what lies shattered within the depths of our own hearts. It is a profound exploration of the artist's soul, forever caught between the sublime vision and the mundane world, and the ultimate, devastating cost of pursuing a dream that exists only in the mind's eye. Lovecraft, through Iranon, paints a portrait of enduring human longing, a quest for a lost paradise that may never have been, leaving us with a bittersweet ache and a lingering question. How much of our own beauty, our own meaning, are we willing to build upon the shifting sands of illusion? His journey is a mirror for our own yearning, our own escapism, our own desperate need for beauty in a world often devoid of it, and the ultimate, unavoidable reckoning with the truth. If this deep dive into one of Lovecraft's more unique and introspective tales has resonated with you, if the melancholic beauty of Iranon's quest has stirred something within your own dreaming soul, then please consider taking a moment to like this video, letting us know that you appreciate these explorations into the rich tapestry of Lovecraftian lore. And for those who yearn for more tales of cosmic dread, existential philosophy, and the strange wonders of the universe as seen through the eyes of the Master of Providence, be sure to subscribe for more Lovecraft videos, so you don't miss our next descent into the unknown, our next analysis of the weird and the wonderful, the beautiful and the terrifying. Thank you for joining us on this poignant journey into the fading dream of Iranon.